The SEC did it again. They have punished the referees from another of Auburn's tough losses this season. Does this provide cover for Hugh Freeze and his staff for losing? Welcome on into the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. I'm your host, Mike G. Turn us up, turn us on, turn it out. I'm here with my good friend, senior writer at thewarreport.com, Logan Fowler, to talk a little Auburn football here on a Friday morning. Logan, news is Ken Williamson is out for the rest of the season. Reports are he had told SEC officials he planned to retire at the end of the season, but they went on and suspended him anyway. 9 out of 11 complaints submitted from the Auburn-Georgia game reportedly were substantiated by the SEC office, and they felt it was egregious enough to say, no more. You can't ref any more games. Hugh Freeze is definitely on the hot seat right now. John Cohen has been really, really quiet. I have said that John needs some bullets in this gun, man, to defend Hugh Freeze, and he is just not giving it to him in the form of wins. But the results of two tough ranked conference games being affected by officiating, and I'm talking about plays directly related to points taken off the board for Auburn. Is that cover for Hugh Freeze and John Cohen here for the losing record that you have 7 games in?
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely a factor. Look, our good buddy of ours, only Auburn beat, Justin Hookinson, went on Feinbaum yesterday, and he even said, like, look, that's certainly a variable that John Cohen's thinking about. I think that obviously, like you said, look, Auburn caught the brunt end of some bad officiating both of those games. I personally thought that the Oklahoma one was kind of a bit worse than the Georgia one, because look, points were, and I know you can say this in both ways, but like Auburn literally had a touchdown taken off the board, like you saw the points go on, and then they were gone because lack of officiating in that game. So look, that one was in a hostile environment. You were playing against a pretty, that was your first big road test. And then there were a couple of calls that didn't go your way late in the game that, in the beginning parts of that game, that call was, I'm talking about the Oklahoma catch on the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
Like he took 2 steps, or like the same thing, same logic did not apply to the earlier Auburn fumble. So I thought that one was pretty egregious myself. But look, no, I think that's definitely a factor. But here's my thoughts on it: is officiating didn't cause Auburn to go out there and only muster 15 yards of offense in the second half against Georgia until that final drive, right? So, again, look, I get it. John Cohen's going to want some, like you said, some bullets in his gun to try to defend Hugh Freeze, and that's certainly a good point. That look, Auburn did kind of get screwed out of a couple of calls in a couple of crucial games. But again, I think that I think that it's on Hugh Freeze. I think it's on Auburn. When you look at this team in the second half, the way they've performed offensively, it's inept. They keep putting it on their defense to go out there and win them a game instead of just making plays themselves. They shoot themselves in the foot every single time. There's a play to be made late in the game, and I think that that's kind of more of a Hugh Freeze problem than an officiating problem myself.
Yeah, look, I don't think Hugh escapes responsibility for the lack of offense that we've seen at times, particularly in the second half of games where it seems like there's no adjustments. But there's been an investment made into this program under Hugh Freeze that I think some are worried about losing and starting over just 3 years into it. So, if you were a Hugh Freeze supporter, both vocally and financially, you're looking for reasons to say, hey, like, I mean, it's hard, man. I describe it like this: when you make decisions, you can make a decision to move on, but the feeling that it leaves sometimes it's hard to move on from. Like Logan, if you walk into a casino right now, you put $5,000 of your hard-earned savings down on a single hand of blackjack, and you lose, your money's gone. But you're gonna think about that decision for a minute. And Hugh Freeze is that $5,000 hand of blackjack for a lot of people, where a lot of stock was put in the idea that he could be successful given access to resources. And here you are, where your team's fate is in the hands of refs at the end of games, and it just there seems to be a lot of questionable decisions being made that's keeping Auburn from getting over the hump here. And now, again, we're talking about this refereeing controversy because John Cohen has a very, very difficult decision to make. That a lot of people came at me at social media when I tweeted this, saying, "What's so hard about it? Just fire him and move on. It hasn't been good." And I'm like, it's not that simple though, because you're talking about potentially unloading all the talent if you move on from this coaching staff. Like it or not, these kids committed to these coaches and they committed to each other. And if you change one variable in there, you could change the complete makeup of this team from a talent perspective, which could mean starting over. And I don't think anybody wants to see that. They may be looking at a mass exodus of talent, regardless of whether he stays or goes. But that's part of what's hard, I think, about this decision. You've got to, I mean, if you're John Cohen, I think you got to start polling players and see where they're at about the process. And then you need to see if internally you have a viable option that players will accept and say, hey, if we turn this thing over to DJ Durkin, will you guys commit to this for another year? We'll boost your NIL. I mean, you moved the Auburn Baylor game for NIL money, man. Fill their pockets up and then try to keep this thing moving for another year.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point. Look, I don't think anybody really wants to fire Hugh Freeze, right? Obviously, that's a huge setback. Obviously you're gonna have to shell out $15.4 million to get this guy out the door, and then buy somebody else out unless it's DJ Durkin. Nobody wants to do that. Auburn's got the talent in place to win football games right now. Just gotta figure out why that's not happening. Look, I think that's a good point you make. Polling players, let's see kind of like, hey, if we turn this thing over to Durkin, are you guys kind of going to be cool with that? Which is why I personally thought that, there's been people saying that they're going to wait till the end of the year to make a decision on Hugh Freeze's future at Auburn. Obviously, probably 80% of the Auburn fan base is ready to see this guy go right now. They've voiced their opinions pretty much all over social media, but that's kind of why I think that, like, hey, if you're going to make a move, you might as well go ahead and make it. Now, again, look, there's still, 4 or 5 games left this season. This guy could rattle off another 4 or 5 wins, and you're looking at an 8-win season. Now, do I think that's going to happen? I do not, but that could happen. But what I say all that to say is, like, look, if he does lose to Arkansas this weekend, I mean, in my opinion, man, there's no more waiting. You got to get DJ Durkin in there and give him his tryout period to end the season, right? Like, if he's gonna be a legit option in this coaching search, or if he's gonna be a legit option to lead Auburn in 2026 and beyond, then why not go ahead and give him his opportunity to lead this Auburn football team? Let him kind of answer for what he did. Not what he did, for what his record is at Maryland, wasn't the best. So let him kind of, like, hey, shut the haters up, and let's get Auburn some wins kind of on the back end of the season, see if they can turn it around with DJ Durkin.
Well, I want to talk about that more in the second half. Is DJ Durkin the move, and is he the move right now? Should they pull the plug now and move on and see what this thing could be? We'll talk about that right after a quick word from our sponsors, our friends at Abel's Iron More and Associates. That's AMA. You don't need a big balance, Logan, to get big advice. At Abel's Iron More and Associates, there's no minimum to start your initial portfolio review. Is completely complimentary. Whether you're just starting to invest, a do-it-yourself investor, or in the final stages of planning for retirement, AMA's fiduciary advisors will meet you where you are. No sales pitch, no pressure, just honest guidance. Call AIMA at 912-777-4128. Scan the QR code on your screen or visit AIMAINC.com. It costs nothing to talk, and it could change everything. The War Report has been compensated by Abels I&O Moore and Associates for this endorsement. Abels I&O Moore and Associates is an SEC-registered investment advisor. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. I want to thank our friends at Sky Tobacco and Vape. Logan, looking for your go-to smoke shop? Sky Tobacco and Vape is your one-stop shop for vapes, tobacco, and everything in between, with shops all over Columbus and right across the bridge in Phoenix City. There's always one close by. Great vibes, better deals. That's Sky Tobacco and Vape. Stop in today and see why we are the shop everyone's talking about. Also want to thank our friends at The Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, The Rogue Shop may have something that has you covered. If you got some traditional ailments and you're looking for some non-traditional remedies, The Rogue Shop could have something for you. Our guy Richard, longtime sponsor of the show, dropping a little something extra in there for everyone using code REPORT today. Please go see them. Last but certainly not least, I want to thank our friends at Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills. The summer may be over, but the fall brings great weather, and you want to be outside grilling on the Golden's Cast Iron grill or staying in shape with some Golden's Cast Iron weights. Work out, grill out, chill out with Golden's Cast Iron. Let's jump back in our conversation here. Should they pull the plug now? Give Durkin his shot. You've got 5 games left in your season. After Arkansas, you will have 4. Is 4 games a good enough sample size for DJ Durkin to say, hey, look, they played well. He possibly gets 2 top 10 wins versus Vanderbilt and Alabama, ends the 5-game losing streak to Alabama, and the players buy in and they say, all right, we're in under Coach Durkin. I know the big question, if you make this move, is who calls plays for the rest of the season. I still think you got to go out and get an offensive coordinator, but could Durkin really affect this team in a positive way, enough way that it could galvanize the players that you have right now, convince them to sign on for another year, and then see if you can get them some offensive support and let them do something special next season?
I personally think so, man. I think if you watch DJ Durkin during practice, I think if you watch him on the sideline during the games, this guy's animated, and his defense obviously takes after him. You know, if you look at the offense right now and you look at the defense, it looks like 2 completely different coach teams, and that's because it is. Look, there's no direct shot at Hugh Freeze, but Hugh Freeze has nothing to do with that defensive side of the ball, and you see how well they're performing right now. He has everything to do with the offensive side of the ball, and well, they're just not good. They're terrible. So no, look, I think that again, personally, I said it, in the first half of the show. I think that if you take a loss this weekend in Fayetteville against Arkansas, against one of the worst teams in the SEC, I think that you've got to make a move to Durkin. That's my opinion. I think that if you want to perhaps save the latter half of your schedule and rattle off some wins, I think that Durkin's the guy to go to. I think that, like you mentioned a moment ago, Mike G, let's just say that Durkin goes over to Nashville and beats Vanderbilt. Let's say that he beats Kentucky like he's supposed to. He beats Mercer like he's supposed to. And he rolls into the Iron Bowl with 7 wins and a chance to, knock off probably a top 10, top 5 Alabama team, right, at home. Kind of got the crowd behind him, juiced up, ready to go. Like, I don't know, man. I think that would be great. Again, like you said, who in the world do you get to go and call offensive plays? Obviously, you're not going to go turn it over to. Has Ken Austin ever called plays before?
Yeah, it's got to be Derek Nix's show, I would think.
Right. So look, I think that he could, keep the roster intact for the most part. There's obviously going to be some players leave and some players voice their opinions about how things are going. But look, I think that the best thing about this Auburn football team right now is the defense, and I think that if you promote DJ Durkin, if you promote within at least for the end of the season, that you keep the best part of your team intact. And I think that those guys love DJ Durkin. I think they love playing for him. I think the position coaches like working under DJ Durkin. I think that they've got a wonderful defensive staff on the back, supporting those guys on defense, and I think that's the move, man. I think that if you wanna give some hope to the Auburn fan base, keep some confidence going, maybe boost the players' morale. No one better than DJ Durkin, whose unit's playing like it's tail on fire every single play.
Yeah, look, Logan, you can't deny the results on that side of the ball. They have been lights out all season, despite the struggles offensively, not allowing more than 24 points to any opponent this season. They played 4 top 16 teams and Baylor, and nobody scored more than 24 points on Auburn. So I like what we're hearing behind the scenes. He's meticulous. He's detail oriented. Defensive practice is a well oiled machine, and we're hearing the opposite about offensive practice. And the results, I think, speak to those two statements about those two sides of the ball being true. Lack of detail, lack of energy, lack of preparation on the offensive side, overly detailed, overly energetic, lots of energy, right? Lots of effort on the defensive side, great results on the defensive side. Could he spread that to the offense given the chance? If you're Auburn, I don't know. There's some thoughts about this coaching cycle and whether there's a quality coach out there to go get. But what I do know is a lot of teams are making moves earlier than Auburn, so they're going to make hires earlier than Auburn. And the longer you sit on this thing, the coach that if there's a good one out there for you, he may not be available.
Yeah, absolutely. Like
But
when you sit here and think about this 2025-26 coaching carousel, you've already got Penn State, you've already got Florida, you're gonna have Florida State most likely, you've already got Arkansas. I mean, you've got all these teams in the SEC and in the Power Four who are going to be searching for somebody to come, revitalize their program. And I think that Florida is obviously I think that they could probably go out and get just about anybody they wanted, but that makes things a heck of a lot harder on Auburn to go out there and get a top guy. Look, I think that these top guys, your Kirby Smarts of the world, your Dan Lannings, those guys are pretty set in their ways. They're not going anywhere. Their respective universities and organizations are going to keep them happy with as much money as they want. But, then you start looking into your guys like Kiffin. You start looking into your guys like who I think Franklin's name's going to be thrown around a lot. I think that his name's probably going to be thrown around for this Auburn job if it opens up. But that's, again, if you're John Cohen, how do you go about the situation, man? Do you want to go out and get a guy like Franklin, whoever it is, before other schools get their hands and paws on him? It's a tricky situation. I think the good news is that you do have a guy like Durkin on staff to where, okay, I miss out on my top guy, I miss out on my number 2 guy. I am confident enough in DJ Durkin, and I have given him the last 4 or 5 games of the season to kind of build his resume here on the Plains. So, I mean, I think that that's a good option, a good thing that you have that guy on staff who you feel confident, in promoting within.
yeah, they obviously feel really good about Durkin, or they wouldn't have made him the second highest paid assistant in the country this offseason. So you already dumped a bunch of money in his lap. Ohio State was coming for DJ Durkin this offseason. He stayed put, much to the delight of Auburn and its fans. So you believe in him to a large extent already. Why not maybe take the next step? Like I said, I don't know if there's a sexy name out there that Auburn would be willing to go dump 9-10 million a year on. I mean, think about I want you to think about this. Hugh had the alignment. They still only paid him $6 million a year. He is the 14th highest paid coach out of 16 coaches in the SEC right now. So there was at least some hesitation. They didn't pay top dollar for him. So you can say you believed in him, but at the end of the day, you didn't really put the checkbook behind his salary. You put a lot of that into recruiting and to NIL. But could DJ Durkin be the answer? We're running out of time. Look, man, I'm telling you, I don't think there's a world where they can lose to Arkansas this weekend and John Cohen can get in front of us and tell us he's giving Hugh another year.
Yeah.
5 straight, 0 for 5 in SEC to start SEC play. No way, John.
And
No
look,
way.
I agree. I totally agree. Auburn has had a lot of success in Fayetteville since going back to 2013. I think they've won 5 of the last 6 in Fayetteville. So going on the road and playing in this hostile environment against one of the best teams in the SEC certainly is not an excuse this weekend. This is a program that just fired its head coach 2 weeks ago and is riding the high of Bobby Petrino on his motorcycle over there in Fayetteville. So I think if you go over there and it looks much of the same against one of the worst defenses that you'll see all season, yeah, I totally agree. I don't know how you can sit here and look people in the eyes who are in a desperate need of an answer and say that we're going to wait until the end of the season to make a decision, or we're going to ride with this guy until further notice going to 2026 with Hugh Freeze as the guy. I don't know how you can do that.
Yeah, me neither. Logan Fowler, senior writer, thewarreport.com. I want to thank you for joining me on today's show, guys. Let us know what you think. Does John Cohen have some cover because of referees literally being fired by the conference here in games? Auburn maybe could have won if those calls had gone the right way. We want to hear from you. Hit that comment section. Let us know. And is DJ Durkin the guy that you want to see take over the program? Is he the man to hold the roster together and maybe lead Auburn to the promised land? We want to hear from you. While you're in the comment section, do us a favor, smash that super thanks button. Your financial support helps keep the work that we're doing here going. Please hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report on every social media platform. We are TW Report on TikTok. We're signing off, and as always, War Eagle.